Nice. Yeah. All right, thank you, Sue. Hello and welcome, folks. Welcome to the official launch of this beautiful work, The Tender Alchemy of Inner Listening, Poems for Healing and Connection by our fabulous Sue Strong. My name's Craig Duker, and I've got the privilege and invitation of introducing Sue today and being our peer support in the session. So I'll be hanging out with you in the chat. I'll be bringing things in wherever needed and helping hold space so Sue can be in her full and fabulous flow. Now, when Sue asked me to introduce her today and support in this moment, I absolutely jumped at the chance. Me and Sue go back years now, probably 4 or 5 now, I think. Yeah, 4 or 5. And in that time, I've been lucky enough to be part of her training in body-oriented coaching, breath and voice work. And these days, I work as our speaker and communications coach, part of our team to help her get this work heard through her voice, her unique voice, as she steps more and more into these public spheres like this one. So it really has been a journey watching her work unfold over the years and emerge as a poet, as a somatic educator, as someone who really, from my point of view, is a real artist at heart and an incredible storyteller. You'll probably know this by now. And how contagious her vibe is. So any chance I get to be around Sue, I always jump at the chance. So, and some of you may know this, some of you may not know about all the different trainings and that Sue has been through throughout the years. She's a somatic coach, a focusing trainer. I need to look at the list here, it's very long. A felt sense polyvagal model facilitator, an EFT practitioner, an NLP master practitioner, mindfulness teacher, Reiki practitioner, a heart math trauma sensitive practitioner, and of course, because the reason we're here today, a poet. So we're all here today to enjoy all of this wisdom and how it comes together through her gorgeous book. And I don't know about you, but I'm really looking forward to hearing some of the background around this book, how it came together, how it's been brought into the world, and hearing some excerpts. I'm probably most excited about that. Myself and my husband are actually reading the book at night right now before we go to sleep. So I'm actually experiencing the work every night in these little drip-fed moments, and I've never really heard somatic themes expressed in such an artistic way. And these little nuggets that come in and sort of find a gentle way to go deep in just before these insights start to happen before sleep, I've found to be just such a beautiful thing and a beautiful way for people to bond together. So this is a lovely thing that we're doing here today, like through poetry, through storytelling. We're going to be bonding together today around about Sue's work. So while Sue's doing her thing, if anything comes up that you'd love her to speak to, any questions you might have, just pop that in the chat and I'll bring it in at the right moment. It could be at the Q&A section or before. Just clearly mark it with a Q so I know to include it. And that's it. So we're going to be sharing this work as a group today. It's really beautiful. So sit back, relax and enjoy. And without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce you to the author of The Tender Alchemy of Inner Listening, Sue Strong.
Thanks, Craig. That's beautiful. Thank you. Oh, I had to put my hand on my heart. It was like, ooh. Well, my heart's not quite up there, but it probably is because it's a bit elevated. So, yeah. For those of you who know me, I do get anxious around things like this, hence my beautiful work with Craig. But this anchored it for me. So putting it into visuals was such a joy. It was a distraction and a joy. So yeah, so this is the cover of the book for those of you that haven't seen it. Some of you have. And I took great joy actually choosing. I spent a lot of time choosing the right color and the right feel for the book, and I'm really happy. And somebody who isn't able to be here today, I went to her book launch last year, and when her book arrived, I went, that's what I want my book to feel like. And my book feels in the hardback. I've bought a hardback. The hardback, it's like that's what I want it to feel like, and it does. So it's beautiful. So Um, so a little overview of our time together. We've done a little welcome, a little arrival. We'll go through the my why for the book. And let me just move that out of the way. And hopes for readers, what I hope readers actually some of what that we all get what we get out of it anyway, but there's just sort of a little bit of what it is I want for people. So we'll do a poetry reading of three poems, and a little bit of behind the scenes and top tips, and Q&A and a closing, a short closing practice, and we will finish by 5:30, 6:30. It won't be 5:30. So this little bit is a bit about my why for the book. So this was never ever going to be a book at first. It was just over the years that I wrote poetry, and I wrote them for my own emotional expression first. That's what they were for. So something would happen inside me or outside me that would spark something that wanted to be voiced and unraveled. And they would, I discovered I had a flair for putting complex situations into and emotions into words that we call poetry. But poetry is really just like songs without the music. So there's a lot of myths around poetry, but it's just a way of expression. Over the years, I got asked, certainly since 2014, when I trained as a mindfulness teacher, through the different trainings, people have said, "Oh, let me know when you publish. I would like your books to read to clients so that they help people access coming into their bodies in a easy and accessible way." So I always held that as sort of somewhere in the back, but it never really ever came forward until this year, really, where I was in a mastermind and a sort of 8-week course and mastermind group, and I just got it together in 2 weeks. So that was pretty amazing. It wasn't just the 2 weeks, but the manuscript was. So I had to overcome a lot of limiting beliefs around my worth, the worth of what's on the paper, that who would want to read this, and there's loads of stuff out there. Why bother? So there was all sorts of nervous system sinking into that dorsal state of hopelessness and or anxiety of like, oh, I can't do that. And actually, this year has been a lot of growth where those little, what I call the butterflies of an idea that would want to be written would flutter around me and would make me write it. So it would come through me and it would want to be written. So and in the end, it was my why was actually these are for other people. They're not just for me. They're not just written for me. So my why is also there's such a lot of mental health crisis at the moment in globally. There's such a lot of stuff to be concerned about. Um, and my why was some of these poems are address some of that, some of the things like that concern me, like around our use of technology and phones and just how they influence our lives in, I remember going to the theatre and looking over the top. I was in the cheap seats at the top and looking down, and all these lights were glowing. I was like, oh my God, nobody's talking to anyone. They're just, it was just really surreal. So that prompted a poem as well. So there were things that prompt it. So my why is I want them to be helpful. Um, and some of my hopes are that I want people to find some safety within themselves when, we live in such a fast-paced world, so much expectation, so much the pace of the world is very, very fast. And in that we lose that safety, that ability to rest and to be with ourselves in nourishing and supportive ways. Um, and we live in a world that really pathologizes our lived experience and makes it us wrong, us bad, something about us that's flawed. And the poems like have always got hope in them. For me, there's always even if it's difficult stuff, it always has to have a not a false uplift, but something that makes it uh, hopeful. So there's hope in it. So, from a nervous system lens, our experiences make perfect sense. We're not flawed and faulty. Um, so my also hopes are to slow down enough that kindness can seep in and stress can drain out of us and down. So I want a million other things, but I wanted to sort of just address a few things that um that matter to me in people's experience of the book. So let's put a pause in for a minute. Let's put a pause in for a minute. So welcome, Marie. Yeah. So we're just at the place where we're going to do a poetry reading of three poems. But let's just put in a pause and let all the words land and just see how we're feeling. See if the body needs to move a little, need a little stretch, a little drink of water, just listening to the cues, or whether you just are so comfy, that's exactly where you need to be. So just to know is a helpful thing. I need a drink, not a drink, I need a drink of water. Moving on. Okay, so the first poem that I'm going to read come from a phrase in about 2020 that Ruby Wax said, which was because Ruby Wax is a mindfulness teacher as well, and she uh, just said this line. I just picked this line up from somewhere, don't, and it was she used the phrase "onesie of the body and mind." So that prompted me to write. I thought, oh, I love that, love that. So this is onesie of the body and mind, which is page 3 of the book. Onesie of the body and mind. For so long we've trusted the mind, scrabbling around for answers to find. Incomplete and fragmented parts, so very far from the truths of our hearts. The onesie of the body and mind, complete as friends, one of a kind. A friendship for us to cultivate from simple acts of give and take. Gravity is its loving container, free from mind as the restrainer. Trusting in the letting go, opening to what the onesie knows. So if you feel called and you want to, in the chat at the bottom, so just scroll your little mouse, and if you want to put a word or two of the poem and how that touches you, anything that feels relevant to put a little something in the chat. Hello, welcome. We're just doing a little bit of a poetry reading. So we're just on the second poem now. So the first one we've done is onesie of the body and mind, and the second one is inner portal of knowing. So this one is that special way of pausing, of listening inside that brings more kindness than the thinking mind. So this one's a bit longer than the onesie of the body and mind. So if you've just arrived, just allow yourself time to settle and get comfortable. Be fussy about your comfort. So this one is inner portal of knowing. When your head is spinning, you can pause. You can drop right in to allow what's within to settle in its own way. You can listen to what is really here, exploring what emerges when you are truly near. Moments in time where the tensions of mental emergencies dissipate in the body for something new to emerge. A special kind of listening, not for story or more efforting, but for a true measure of how am I right now? Asking, what does my body know? We listen for the feel of it all, in the images of the sensations, that tightness, that sharpness, how it all sits inside. Then we patiently, lovingly, openly follow it without judgment or expectations. That tight belly or back, when met with your presence, finds safety to unravel, opening up new meaning in the space beyond what the mind can understand. Beneath initial tensions or emotions, a spaciousness may emerge, accessing a portal of knowing of that steady, sure place within, from which everything is possible, which was already available, just unheard. Now, the alchemy of tender inner listening is your welcome home. So we'll put in a little pause and just see if there's a word or two or anything that feels relevant that you'd like to share in your response to that poem. And again, no expectation that you will. We just put a pause between the poems. And this is in life, we often go from one thing to the next thing to the next thing, and we're in a spin. So let's see what a pause is like. Nothing to figure out. When I pause, my breath wanted to go much deeper then. I could feel it, like just a real deepening. So the last poem I'm going to read today is called Gravity. And in the past, somebody that I was in therapy with said to me, like, when I was in a bit of I was in a crisis, and it was the invite to allow myself to lay on the floor, and that support is available 24/7. And that was such a helpful thing at that particular time. And just for when you finished and transitioning between things, it's really useful. And another wonderful way to do that one as well is putting your feet up on a sofa, shuffling your body up to the edge of the sofa and putting your feet on the sofa and surrendering so that your leg, it's absolutely delightful. If you haven't done it, I invite you to play. So, gravity. Gravity's stable, a really true friend, one on whom you can depend. Always here when sitting or walking, lying, standing, or simply talking. Your life's foundation ever here, one who softens all our fear. Loving arms that stretch so far, welcoming all of what we are. When we lose her tender touch, life can feel it's just too much. We tighten up, forget to breathe. Their mind's cruel dance again deceives. When you forget life's precious part, just put your hand upon your heart. Take some time to be real still, then gravity's pull will start to fill. Oh, so allow yourself to be touched in your own way in that. Allow yourself to be touched. And then if there's anything that feels relevant, to just put a word or two in the chat of how that poem touched you, if it feels supportive for you, only if it's supportive for you. So again, after the listening, just allow your body to do what it needs. It might need to stretch. It might need to stand. It might need to lie. See what's needed. Or you might just be where you need to be. I need to take a pause between that as well. And this is that inner listening, that willingness to let them moments be taken. Yeah.
Sue, as we take a moment there, I wondered whether you wanted me to share some of the sharings out loud from the chat. There's loads of beautiful things that are coming out here from your like amazing recitation there. Would you like me to read them out, or do
Please
you want to?
do, because
Yeah,
not everybody reads the chat or wants to read the chat.
yeah,
So I think to
yeah.
hear that out would be lovely. Thank you, Craig.
Loads of gorgeous stuff coming here in the chat. I'll read my own ones as well, which are very true. So, a feeling of snugness arising, cozy, comfort and safety. What a beautiful poem. This is the first poem. Onesie. I keep saying this over in my mind. I love that visual. Beautiful. It's about the full connection of self.
Mhm.
And then the second poem, The Inner Portal of Knowing. Curiosity of what the body has to say without judgment. Focus on the now moment and breath. A precious process. I feel the longing for more. Alchemy of inner knowing. I love the kindness of your words, tender. That is a beautiful word and experience. Now the alchemy of tender listening is your welcome home. Home now, tenderly heard, but whole body hums.
Mhm.
And the final one, precious parts and hearts touched me. Your reading of the three is very powerful. I'm reminded of Rumi's demand to love all of me, quite a stretch at times. Loving arms that stretch so far, welcoming all of what we are.
Mhm.
Same, those were the same words that touched me.
Mhm. Brilliant. Thank you, Craig. That's touched me. That's really, and that is what sharing it is about, isn't it? It's actually that this means something to people. Yeah. Thank you for your generosity in there. Um, let's um something that's been asked is about the process. So like for me, behind the scenes top tips, if anybody else is inspired to write to is like for me, it's to be clear of your why. So my why, when I decided it was to be shared, that was the bit that I held rather than that gave it momentum. When sometimes it felt my nervous system was getting really, really activated and the tech stuff and not good. So, I had to keep coming back to the why. So for you, if you're going to do something, why is it? And, this is just my perspective. There's a million perspectives on this, but so allow plenty of time for the process as it takes way longer than you imagine because I wanted this to be out for Christmas because there were people that are saying, "Oh, I want to be able to give it as a gift. I want to be able to," and that was great. And I wanted to do that, but I had no idea of the check-in and the time and the going over and lots and lots. So, um, make it a spacious. So I'm doing a second one for next year that's around complex trauma. So it's called Rising and Thriving, Poems and Reflections for Healing from Complex Trauma, which is my own lived experience. So I've already got loads and loads of the poems for that. But even the process, that's going to be a lot more writing and reflection in it as well. But that won't be hurried because my nervous system wasn't happy. It was like, what do you mean now? Um, and as Craig does a lot around organic intelligence, and that was part of my training as with the somatic school as a somatic coach, was easy does it, the job is enjoyment. I had to recite that to myself 1,000 times. Easy does it. And what do you mean? And I would find myself not stopping enough and having to make myself stop. Because if we're running and we're lost in that nervous system place of fight flight, it's really hard to feel that spaciousness and that ease. So I'm still learning that. We're all still learning that. When we get excited or we get interested in something, it's hard sometimes to stop. But it's important to keep trying to bring ourselves back to that. And one of the beliefs that came for me around all of this was I call it comparatonitis, and I don't even think it's in the dictionary, but there was this bit, I'll put it in my dictionary. So there's that thing that I compared myself to everybody. And once I started consider sharing it, it was like, oh, it's already out there, don't bother. And I would just find ways to undermine my own work. So I came to that realization that no one is you. You are unique. But you can have this as an idea, but you have to embody it because we all intellectually know so many things, but unless it's in our body, it doesn't actually do anything. So no one was me. No, I am, my work is mine. Someone else can be equally beautiful and valuable, but I have to own mine. And mine is as worthy as anybody else's. And that took me some time to get to the place before I chose to do this. Another top tip behind the scenes is research thoroughly publishing options, and do not rush into decisions. So it's a complex process, and whether you go with a publisher and you pay for a package or you do it yourself through Amazon or other methods of publishing, but just take your time if that's what you're going to do. Let's put in another pause. Oh my God, there's so many pauses. God, it's a party of pauses. Um, so are there any questions in the chat, Craig? If not, um, the best method to do this for chats is to how interesting. I can't even find because I'm in a share. You'll have to the thing at the bottom where you can raise your hand, then it shows who's next, because otherwise I'm going to be lost. So if you have a question, take your time to let the question form. What is it that interests you? What are you curious about? What do you want to know more of? Can be anything. Elizabeth,
Yes.
hello,
Oh,
lovely.
so wonderful, Sue. Thank you so much. My whole nervous system is in such ventral from these poems. I'm really curious about your process. Like you said, you took a, a mastermind class, and within 2 weeks, you knew, which sounds to me like just the coolest, like warp speed. And I'm curious getting from point A to point B, if you could say a little
Yeah,
bit more about that, if that's okay.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So, 2 weeks was from the decision to the manuscript. So that was um, I'm very on the spectrum, and so I had poetry books everywhere, bits here, bits there. I couldn't find that one, so I'd start another one. So I had to gather all the bits together. And when I gathered the bits, so I spent a day gathering all the books together. And when I started reading them, something quite deep and profound happened in that I found a poem that I wrote. This is I'm going to do the two bits together here. I found a poem that I wrote in 1996 that I didn't even know I'd written, that was so deeply moving that I realized there were two books, that there wasn't just one book, and that book had to be. There were a lot of poems I wrote when I was in therapy that were very that need to be shared, because I think that we don't talk enough about the complexity of when things are challenging and difficult. It's all, let's be positive and let's, move on, and aren't you over that now? And so I realized that book had to be the second book. And the first book was like, there's so many hopeful poems. They're all hopeful, but so many poems that people could relate to that had to be written in this book. So from A to B was like, I'd already typed loads of them up over the, maybe somewhere subconsciously I thought maybe one day I will do them, because I'd put them into a Google Doc. Not all of them, but probably 50% or more were already typed up. So it was quite easy then to get together. I printed them all off, gathered them around. No, 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 yes, yes, yes. And somehow I knew what ones needed to be in here. Yeah. It was quite exciting, actually.
Wow. Thank you. That's
Does that,
fast.
yeah.
Such a creative process. It's beautiful. Thank you, Sue.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Claire. Hello, lovely Claire.
Good evening, Sue. Thank you. So fabulous listening to you read those beautiful poems. I have a question, because you write a lot, obviously, about being in the body,
Yeah.
body means, thoughts, feelings, the heart, etc. How we are within our bodies. And you've obviously shared that you've got some more work coming out next year. I'm wondering if you're ever inspired, Sue, to write anything outside of your body.
Do you mean poems outside the body?
Yeah,
Yeah. Wow. Oh, Beautiful Mountain was one of them, one about the sea.
lovely.
But they never are just outside. So they're so like if I just read very quickly that a tiny little one, if I can find that even when I'm outside looking inspired inside,
Mm,
they're not separate.
mm,
They're so let's do waves. Page 99. Let's do waves. So 99. So this one, agitated water, a beauty to see, white frothy waves inviting me, move to their depths, a story to tell, our feelings entwined in the ocean's swell. Stirred by its presence, it's crystal clear. This present moment has nothing to fear. Wrapped in the arms of the here and now. That's one of my favorite lines. I love that. The sea is a life force the body can tell. A vision, a movement alluring in, a merging of souls from deep within. Side by side our paths do cross, a choice to open, not mourn our loss. So that was something that brought a ventral energy to me. And ventral, for those who aren't familiar with the language, is that the three nervous system states are, our natural state is a ventral place of home and grounding, connection and worth and value. And when that's not available, we go into sympathetic, which is we're either go into anxiousness or predominantly anxious or anger, fight and flight. We run or um, and the other is that we sink, and that gets too hard, so we sink and we come withdraw and collapse into it's all too much. So the ventral space we need so much. So yeah, That was a long answer, Claire, wasn't it?
That's
I
a
bet you're glad
brilliant
you asked
answer.
now.
Got another poem out of you there.
Well done.
And you've mentioned about another book coming. So what about the next one after that?
Well, therein lies a potential autobiography of a very interesting, complex story. Yeah, but anyway, thank you, Claire. Is there
Beautiful.
anything else in the chat, Craig?
Yeah, so we have not questions, but we have a couple of comments. So there's one comment that might be cool for you to respond to. So two comments, sorry, that might be cool to respond to. One is from Medea, who says, "These poems cannot be compared to anyone or anything, as it touches me on a level I was not even aware of before meeting myself there while listening to them for all these years. Thank you for making them alive, Sue. Love, heart."
Oh, thank you, Medea. Thank you. Mm.
Uh, and then the second is Paula, who says, "I'm so happy that your words are out in the world. Your words are beautiful. Thank you for inviting me, and I look forward to having my copy arrive."
Oh, bless you. Thank you, Paula. Thank you. And often we're shy about writing in the chat, or we don't think but actually that's made my day hearing these reflections, and hopefully it's touched someone else's day as well. So the chat is a really important connection space for us all. Yeah. So have we got anything else that anyone is curious about or wants to say or ask?
Good evening.
Hello.
I am full of curiosity around. So let me first make a little introduction. Um, I think I heard the first poem when I was in UK at your place in 2021, and I think Onesie was one of the first ones that I heard. And my felt sense, because we were together in the somatic school, quite devoted, I would say, using felt sense a lot. My felt sense knew that this is going to be a book, and I was looking forward to it for all these years, and I'm so happy it arrived. And now I'm wondering, how is it landing for people who are not so somatically aware? Because my hope for these poems were to meet people who, it is very natural for me to sing, to receive it.
Yeah.
Every word is landing, and I'm wondering how it's like for people who are not so somatically aware, who are not so in the bodies. And I'm wondering if you had any experience with anyone who is maybe more head oriented and
Yes.
came in touch with
That's
the
a
book.
beautiful question. Beautiful. One, it's beautiful to see you, and you were very very encouraging for a long time for me to do this. And so I'm really delighted that you're here today. Really delighted. But it's a curiosity I have, because I took some to a local craft fair, and two people bought the book, and they were different people that already are familiar with poetry. Other people I could see in their face, because I was using the phrase that songs are poems are like songs. They're just without the music. They're like the words of songs, but they've just not got the music. And people didn't, I could see in their face just the word poetry. Somebody said that was highbrow. So I'm just trying to think what other things were said, but basically it made me realize that there's something to be done about the ordinariness, the ordinariness of my poetry is not fancy, you know, but it's deeply meaningful and emotive. So I don't have an answer for you, but I have a curiosity, and I can see it misses. And even in my family, people who I love and they love me, it really don't get it. They don't, and they don't get it because they don't, that's not their world. That's not how they live. So I'm going to play with it, and I'm going to see in my work, how can I make this something that supports people. One of the things I've been thinking about in this is that maybe let's do a step back. My poetry comes from spending a lifetime in my head, a lifetime of overthinking. I can feel that in my body now, quite emotive and quite sad, over and over, trying to think my way out of problems and trying to analyze and make sense of things that didn't make sense. And I just kept hitting dead ends and brick walls. And it was only when I began working in the body that my life made sense, so much made sense. So I don't know how to translate that yet, but I want to know how to translate that for people because it's in my core. So yeah. So that's a long, I'm not very good at short answers, am I? Brilliant. I hope that answers your question, but it's an important issue. It's like this isn't just for people who get it. And there'll be people here that for whom actually are not all familiar with this way of working. If I was to, I can't see the list of who's here, but if I was to look, there'll be people here that maybe just there's a thread or a few lines that are touching and helping them see beyond the thinking mind just a little to feel it. So it's already beginning, but it's something that I want to play with. Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you. So
We have some questions in the chat, Sue, if you want me
yeah,
to read those out.
yes, please.
So let me just organize myself here. Uh, One is, Abby and Joe say, have you thought about doing an audio version where you're reading the poems? Your voice is so powerful, beautiful, relaxing, and stirs up a lot of emotion.
Oh, I have, and I don't know how to do it yet, but I'm definitely going to do it. Yeah. So I have sort of looked it up a little. Um, And in fact, I've thought about going in my shower area because you need a small space to get the right acoustics. So I have actually gone as far as looking it up and thinking about it and thinking the shower room would be a good place to get the right sound. So watch this space.
Fantastic. I will definitely look forward to that, the audio version of this. Kirsty says, thank you, Sue. Can I order away from Amazon? Also, you are so relatable, Sue, and I always use words that real people understand. Yeah. So speaking
Mm,
to that, the ordinariness that you were talking about, Sue.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and then we have a particular question from Julia. Your poems are so beautiful and so touching, Sue. I know nature is one of your inspirations, but I was wondering if any other poets have particularly inspired you and these poems in particular, or are there any other works of art which inspired you, like music, paintings, etc.?
Yeah, yeah, lovely question. Um, one, well, at my wedding last year, no, whenever it was, yeah, last year, last June, at my wedding, John O'Donoghue, when I read John O'Donoghue, there's something that touches me in his words and his use of language. So even though he's religious, his work is not religious. It's spiritual, it's nature, it's open. So he deeply touches. There's loads of people. Rumi, Dana Folds, she writes really relatable, beautiful work. In fact, Donna Ashworth writes Donna Ashworth was one of the people for whom I didn't put my work out there because I was inspired and wanted to put my work out there. And then I came across her poetry and I was like, wow, I don't need to do it because I could write her poems. Her poems were my poems. And so I collapsed on myself and stopped my creative splurge. But I love how she writes. And they're different to mine. They're more suitable. People that are more seeing processing life through the mind in a very cognitive way can get comfort from her poems. I think they're very good. But John O'Donoghue is one of my favorites. Yeah.
Fab, thanks, Sue. There's one more thought. Do we have time for one more?
Yeah, we do. And then I will move on to the last two
Fab.
slides.
Angie had a thought. So I just wanted to check in with you, Angie. Do you want to share that verbally or expand on that in the chat?
Hello.
Hi, Angie.
Hey, Angie.
Yeah, I just got quite when you were talking about when you went to the fair, the I don't know what kind of fair you mentioned.
Craft
And
fair.
craft, sorry, the word escaped me. Everything was popping into my head. Boot, fun, so it goes on. The craft fair, it just makes me feel about when people don't understand or don't, it's like that sense of meeting your own resistance. So if you meet fear head on, face to face, I feel that sometimes there's not that you're saying you need to, but I don't think the explanation with friends and family who don't get it are necessary because for you it's a way of being. So it's important to put that out and just let it land.
Mhm.
Because if we get caught up in our head with the explanation, because we're looking at specifically in the UK, we're driven by classism still, and poetry being hoi polloi and not accessible. But if you look at, you talked about research, I mean, early cavemen were, drawing and writing words in that. So I'm thinking of Bruce Chatwin's song lines, song, is it called song? Do you know song? I haven't read it for ages. Song lines, is that the name of the book? Yeah, things were triggering in my head about what I've read previously. But I just wanted to say, the work that needs to be done about people understanding, I think isn't where the work is. I think the work is to continue to let this flow, because if people aren't listening, they can't hear. But if they are listening, what we don't see is what the internal shift is from something that you've said or a word or the way you've said something.
Yes.
It's so internalized and it's so private, but it's a bit of a lone wolf expedition because you don't get the feedback necessarily unless we meet like this. Anyway, that was just my
Yeah, that was my nervous system was happy with that invite to not over effort really in that, not over effort. And but it is something that matters around for me around ch like I come from a working class background and that for that to be normalized. Do you know what I mean? Like I went to university and studied English and American literature, and I was in such a bad place when I was there that actually I don't know what I absorbed or didn't absorb there, but it was all very, it was all very heady and academic, and obviously it was academic, but there's something about I want this ordinariness to be um, in spaces that can open a crack of a door for someone that's sick of going round their head all the time, that actually can feel there may be something else possible. Yeah. So, but I also, my system goes, oh yeah, don't over effort on that. So, I just want to introduce quickly before we move on to just two quick slides. Angie's just published a book this week on anger. And when I send a follow-up email to everybody, I'll include a link in there to Angie's book. We haven't really got time to share about that, but I'll ask Angie to just put a little something in for when I send my email, and just a little bit that may or may not interest you, just to we help each other in the world, don't we? So if there's something there that's useful to you, then we'll share that, and if it's not, then you can just let it go. Yeah, all right. Thank you, Angie. So that's the get a copy. Boom, diddly boom, boom. So the more people that like it and share it on the next bit, let me just come to slide number last but not least. If you want to take a picture of this, these are the ways in which you can stay in touch with me. So this little one here, the Sue Strong Poetry one, is just going to be a small one that Balboa Press have put together, and reviews for people who buy in person from me that are local can put a review on. So that's my coaching website. That's my Instagram account. And that is I read a few poems aloud on my YouTube channel. And I would really appreciate any support to share that, to like that, to follow that, because that's the space that what we've talked about here can go a bit wider. So I value anything, any questions or anything, you can just email me at suestrongcoaching@gmail.com. So I'm going to stop sharing so I can see your lovely faces. Or not. So I'm just come back. Just saying, or not. Yeah.
One thing to add as well, Sue, is that while we're finishing on the links, I've popped in the link to actually buy the book, which is now available for purchase. That's in the chat for you if you want to get your copy delivered before Christmas. All right.
Yeah, brilliant. Brilliant. So, wow, beautiful, beautiful, lovely to have you all here. And if there's anything you want to know, anything you want to ask or say, do let me know. You can message me. And I think if there's nothing else, I think we're successfully completed our gathering. Yeah. So we can unmute and say our goodbyes if we want to. And you can show your face this is being recorded, so you might not want to unmute if you're not wanting to be on the recording. Brilliant. Thank you for your time and your care and staying for the whole. Hang on, how'd you do it? I can't do it. I'll just wave and heart.
Bye, Sue. Thank you.
Bye, lovely.
Thank you so much,
Congratulations on your
Sue.
book.
Thanks, Sue. So great. Thank everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.
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 No.
Bye.
Okay. Abby says bye.
Bye, Abby. Can I see a little face? I want to see a big face. You're bigger now. Let me see you. I can't see you. You're in the dark.
Oh, hang on. I'll turn the light
Let's
on.
turn some light. Let me see.
There she is.
Hello, lovely. Oh my goodness, what happened? You grew. How lovely to see you.
Bye.
We'll have to see in person. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I'll let you go, and we'll connect another time, Joe.
Yeah, no worries.
Lovely. Thank you for joining.
No, thank you.
I think you've got two on.
Yeah, I gave her it because she was in another room.
Oh, bless her. How lovely.
You got an extra person.
Yeah. Thanks, Joe.
You take care.
And you. Lovely.
Bye.
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 Bye-bye.
Hang me up. I don't know how to do it. Leave. There we go. Find that one.
Hi, Kirsty. You all right?
Yeah, I'm still trying to work out how to turn it.
How to get off? You're trapped in Zoom world.
For weeks.
There's no escape.
I can't get it. I can't switch it off. Oh, it's lovely, Sue. You make
Ah,
when it's your something about your voice and the words you say. I never have to think, oh, what does that mean? It's just so relatable to
ah,
me. And I
that-
think, yeah, I think a lot of people will be able to understand. And do you know what I mean? That's
oh,
yeah.
thank you for staying and saying that. Even though you couldn't
That's
get
all
out,
right.
you still said it.
Captive audience.
Oh, thank you, my lovely.
Okay,
I
I'll
can
see you
put you in the
soon.
waiting room if you can't get out.
Oh yeah, put me in the waiting room. Yeah, all right.
Go in the waiting room.
Go on.
Fantastic.
Let me, I think she's, blimey.
Okay, you can stop the recording now as
Oh,
well,
yeah.
so you can so you can relax.